Hey guys, it's your girl Kizzy Rock, and yes, Kizzy Rock is my birth given name. Happy Wednesday. Want to say hey to all my subscribers, new as well as season. I got a word for you. Tap in. Happy Wednesday, guys. Happy Wednesday morning. So I have a couple of things I want to speak on. My focal point is going to be on restoration and wrath. Even though I have a recording on that, I think yesterday, I got another download to kind of piggyback off of that. Sometimes the Holy Spirit wants me to stay on something, even if I want to speak on. I really wanted to speak on something else, but I got to stay on where I'm led to stay. So that restoration and the wrath, good versus evil. I have a lot I want to say there. Next, I want to, my good sis who emailed me last night and this morning. I told you, sis, I'll tie something in really quickly because I have some other topics, requested topics that I haven't even gotten to from other people. But I'll tie something in really quickly in regards to a man that God sent to her. She fasted and prayed, and God revealed to her that this man was for her. They got together, and now there's something's going on, and she's really heartbroken because she felt like God has lied to her. God has kind of like set her up, if you will, to like really see this man as God sent. And now they're not talking this week. This week, sis, this week, not a month, this week. So I'm going to tie a little bit in there. Then I had a good brother. Lastly, I had a good brother who sent me a recording. My good brother, you wanted me to put the video in this recording. I can't because literally every word, not even every other word, every word was a cuss word. And I'm not like being judgmental, but I have a lot of people here who are like, some people are very, very, but I did watch the video several times because I wanted to be fair that I heard the two brothers, well, one brother perspective. I receive his perspective. Honestly, I do. And I'm going to answer a few of your questions from a woman perspective to help you understand the difference when it comes down to women and men leaving or not leaving, cheating or not cheating, etc., among some other things. All right, so I want to start really quickly with my good sis who God sent her this man, and now there's a rift. Sis, as I told you in the email, anything that God has for us will be attacked. Person, place, or thing. Anything that God has for us will be attacked. So it's not sometimes that God has lied to us or something that he's promised us is now looking different. The enemy is going to attack anything that's going to be a blessing and beneficial in your life. He's going to cause hiccups. This is why a lot of the times marriages are attacked. So it's like you have to kind of step out of the physical and realize what's going on in the spiritual realm. So this is why when it comes down to marriages or even partnerships that's like spiritually based, this is why it's so important for you guys to be so locked in as a team, right? That's how I am. Like there's no outside people, right? Not even friends or family. There's no outside people that can even get in. You got to protect it in a way where you just have to be very protective and private. You have to recognize when the enemy is literally using a situation, right? He will use sometimes the people closest to you, and the people don't even know that they're being used, or even you. Sometimes he may put something in your head and he's using you, and before you know it, you're beefing with somebody who God literally brought into your life. So like I told you this morning also, this is why it's very important to take accountability, right? Could I have responded differently? Could I have communicated differently? Could I have had a meeting of the minds just to be sure we were good? So there's things sometimes what we can do. And you were honest enough and held on to your accountability that you could have responded differently. Kudos to you, because most people won't take accountability for their actions. Kudos to you. So your whole thing was his lack of communication. As I told you, I get it. Trust me, it is very, all caps, very, very frustrating when you have someone who doesn't communicate well? Well, you have to also remember too that a lot of men, definitely not all, right? Some guys communicate well, especially when they know that you're a safe place, right? They're just not going to communicate to anybody. So you have to make sure that you allow a safe place, like your secrets are safe with me. This is why some women got to stop that. When you get mad, you're throwing something that the man told you, like in secrecy, like seriously, something very private, something that happened in his childhood, and you throw that in his face. He'll never trust you again, right? So make sure that you're providing a safe place for him to communicate. And at the end of the day, he's a grown man. You can't shake him and say, communicate. Like, you just can't do that, right? You can encourage him, right? You can encourage him, maybe even seek counseling, right? That may be his safe place. He may communicate better through counseling. Or because you are a chosen one, if you ask God for discernment, listen, when you're connected to a person, God will already give you the answer. God will already give you the answer, but we got to be sure that we're tapping in. But what happens is the enemy will have us so frustrated because it's like, would you just communicate what you feel? Why don't you just tell me what you feel? So he automatically shut down. But if you pull back from your flesh and you ask God to reveal, Lord, can you please give me some insight on why he is tripping? Did I do something wrong? Did I say something wrong? Am I moving a certain way that he's not cool with, but he's just not telling me because he don't want to express that, right? Ask God to show you. Once God reveals it to you, then you get this aha moment, and then you start moving differently. But to instantly get back up in your flesh and start attack mode because he's not communicating effectively, what happens? Now this happens, and now you're going through it because you haven't spoken to him. I think you said since the 13th. My advice is to apologize for your part, whatever you've done, right? I think a lot of the times when we apologize for our mistakes or whatever we got going on, it softens the other person's stance, and then they'll hit you back or like, you know what? Thank you for taking accountability. I apologize for my lack of communication. It's just something that I struggle with. I've always struggled with this because X, Y, and Z. So sometimes it takes soften your stance, and then they'll soften their stance. That doesn't always work, but you took accountability for your part. After you've done that, you just got to fall back. You got to fall back because if God sent it, God will work it out. And I'll make a longer recording for you. Next, let's talk about wrath and restoration. Listen, many of you guys, and this is not for everybody. No recording is, right? Every download is not for everybody, but you know because it always confirms in your spirit with whatever God has already been speaking to you in whatever way. Confirmations is confirmations, right? Many of you guys are about to be big blessed. I won't go off into a tangent about like how and why, because at the end of the day, we know right now we're in a spiritual shift. At the end of the day, it's good versus evil. So a lot of you guys who have been standing for quite some time and you've been doing the right thing, and I'm speaking about people who maybe took like hits all of their lives, and it's like you were just, dealt unfair. What do you call it? Like when people say things like you got like the wrong cards in life or something like that. What is the saying? You were dealt an unfair hand, something like that. I don't even know. Whew, child, my coffee has not kicked in yet. Those of you who have been waiting on the promises of God, like God have been promising you a lot of things. This could have been 30 years ago, honey, right? And you just never saw that thing manifested. But you kept doing the right thing. Like you never turned the evil right. You kept a pure heart and a pure spirit, right? Even when others around you seem as if they were climbing and blessings were coming their way, and it's like they always had one up, and even though they were doing things the wrong way, these people are about to be hit major. But those of you who have been moving accordingly. You've been in alignment. You weren't perfect because you ain't that cute, right? But your heart has always been pure. Your intentions have always been pure. You've helped people along the way, even when you got burned, right? You felt like God took notes. Listen, people don't understand. God take notes. God blesses our intent. So even when you help people, this is why a lot of chosen people are blessed the way they're blessed. And you have outside people watching them like, oh, well, you're just blessed because you're beautiful. You're just blessed because maybe your father owned that particular company and this, that, and the third. It has nothing to do with that. We're chosen people. The way God have our heart posture set up, we help from our heart. We never try to help people to try to get close to them or help people for this, that, and the third. We literally move from a heart posture. So God blesses our intent. So this is why I tell chosen people, when people hurt you, when people take advantage of you, when people quote unquote use you, right? You can never, ever, 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 ever use a chosen one. You can never, ever, ever use a chosen one. God blesses our intent. So even though we were helping the wrong people, God knew we were moving from a heart posture, a pure pot, what we thought was the right thing. So he keeps blessing us for our intent. This is why a chosen one will never fall and stay down. We keep getting back up. God uses us to be a blessing. So he has to make sure he keeps reciprocating things. And this is why the evil ones or the users or the abusers or whatever you want to call them, they stay down. They may have a season where they're up. Look at Hollywood. Look at a lot of celebrities right now. Look at these. Listen. Look at all these people and pastors and stuff currently being exposed. So not to just focus on the celebrity world, because these are just your everyday people right around you. A lot of people are about to be exposed. This has nothing to do. This is all about a spiritual shift that's going on. The pure-hearted, the good people, my chosen ones, restoration is coming times 5. Please, whatever you do, this is the time that you want to be sure your heart posture is right. If somebody has hurt you and harmed you, you got to forgive and release. Don't let that thing sit in you where you are now afflicting other people. Meaning, I'm never going to help anybody. I'm never going to love anybody. I'm just done with people. Please, whatever you do, don't do that. Please don't do that. You're going to miss your own blessings. This is the time right now that our heart postures have to be great. This is why the enemy sent somebody to you to hurt you recently, because he knows these blessings are about to shift in. So this is the right time to allow somebody to hurt you, to screw up your heart posture. And now you're here with this guarded heart, like I'm done with people. I'm done with people. Well, how's God going to use you? Make it make sense. Guys, if you think 2024 was the year of exposure, you haven't seen anything yet. You haven't seen anything yet. Anybody with wrong intentions, wrong motives, wrong heart postures, evil, wicked ways of scheming, lying, deceiving, what other words can we use? Finagling. I've heard somebody use that word before. Just whatever. Everything that's shining for them now, right? Will be snatched away. It will be snatched away, and exposure is coming, especially for this Hollywood side of things, right? These prominent people. Exposure is coming, and they can't even stop it. It's to the point where you can have people right now trying to run and try to get right with God now. And hear me, please do that, right? Right. But it's almost like no matter what they do, they can't stop this wrath that's coming. This wrath has to happen. It has to happen for several reasons, right? Ultimately, hopefully, to lead them to God once God, take them through that that fire, right? Hopefully that ultimately gets them right with God. But it also has to happen because the shift is here. So the evil have to be moved for the pure-hearted chosen can come up. So really, more than anything, what I want to just say right there, please, guys, please keep your heart posture clean. I can't tell you guys how many emails I've had for people who you put that ice box around your heart because you got burned recently. It was sent. It was sent. Forgive and release. Forgive and release. Sorry, guys. My puppy had the house phone chewing on it. Oh, my good brother. Okay, so, it was a very short recording. So in the recording, basically, there was a guy talking, and he was saying that, he said a few things. One, he was saying how men hurt differently when something is over. Where the woman leaves, she ultimately finds love again. Where with the guy, he actually is currently married, but he was saying in general that if his wife ever left him, that's it. He will never, ever, ever give his heart away because no one else can ever measure up to that type of love. Almost like you only get that kind of love once. So if it ever hurts you, that's a done deal. Like everyone else will only get a piece of his heart, literally. If that. And he was also speaking about how a woman would rather go through 10 different experiences, meaning she would risk going through 10 hurts versus going through with 10 different people versus going through 10 hurts with the same person. Almost like you might as well just sit here and go through this 10 times because there's no guarantee that you won't get the same type of treatment for the next 10 guys, which is true. I'm going to elaborate on that as well as, okay, so I had to read over my notes because he didn't say this in the video, but I read a couple of the comments from some of the guys. And one thing that I heard a lot of the guys saying, or read a lot of the guys saying, is that men, quote unquote, love unconditionally, right? And women don't. I saw a lot of guys said that. Men love unconditionally. Women don't love unconditionally. So me being the chick that I am, a perspective thinker, I like to try to understand both points, right? I know women think different from men. I know women receive and react different from men. There's no question about that, right? But a lot of women, they'll be stuck on one perspective, which is our perspective. And sometimes that's just naturally how it is, right? That's just how you can't see things outside of your perspective, right? It's just how you are. I've been blessed to be able to see and understand it. It doesn't mean I agree with it, but I can understand what their point is. So it's not that I'm here to change your perspective, bro. My brother, I'm not here to change your perspective. I'm just here to understand it, but I'm here to also give you the different perspective of a woman. All right. I've heard many men say that men loves deeper than women. And again, I don't know if that's because men love less, if you will. Like I think women probably fall in love more than men, if you will. I mean, I don't know how to grade that. Like, what scale is that measured on, right? Because with women, the way our hearts are set up, we love very, very deeply, right? What you guys may consider is unconditional. I don't know if it's unconditional because here's the thing. Sometimes, and this is not for all men or all women, a man would consider unconditional is to be hurt, cheated, lied to over and over, meaning you sit there and you take all of this So if I decide to leave you for cheating and jeopardizing my life, cheating and disrespecting me, does that mean it's unconditional? Or do I respect myself? Do I love myself enough to know I deserve better? Okay, now here's the flip side of this. I actually asked, and if you go back and look at that video, you'll see. And this is why I love conversing with my brothers, because it's my approach. So we're always with the trying to understand each other back and forth versus all that arguing that people do, all that arguing, that toxic stuff. No. Right? So I love conversing with my leveled up brothers because it gives you a better understanding. They can hear you and you can hear them. But when you're bickering back and forth, where are the answers? Where's the understanding? So with a couple of those brothers who said men love unconditionally, my response to them after letting them know I hear you, so if your woman cheats, would you leave? Do you know each and every one of those brothers said, hell yeah, hell yeah. So how's that unconditional? Quote unquote, men love unconditionally. Women don't because she leaves, quote unquote, too quickly or when there's no fairy tale. But these same exact men say that they will leave if that woman cheat and never look back. How's that unconditional? Unconditional, right? And I help my brother to understand that maybe you might have to seek a different word, respectfully, because unconditional means you love without limits. Unconditional means you love and you stay regardless of the person's actions, including cheating. Cheating is an action. So do men really love unconditionally? So, okay, maybe he just had the wrong word, respectfully. Another thing that a few of them had a really, really hard time trying to get the concept and understand is, and I don't expect them to because, again, we think different. They still feel that women just get up one day and leave all of a sudden because of an action that day. Meaning, for example, you come home one day and I don't know, you did something last night that pissed me off. I don't know, you stayed out again overnight. Child. Okay, so when you come home that next day, all her stuff is going out of the house. So I think men would typically think because of that one time, she's gone. Now, granted, I'm not saying that couldn't happen, if you will. But most times, not all, most times when a woman leaves you that day, it has been an accumulation of hurt and disrespect, dishonor, all that stuff throughout the process. So women grieve throughout the relationship. Men typically grieve after they've lost it. And for some reason, these men still, one of them did, they still couldn't get the concept. No, that's not true. She just picked up and leave one day. Dude, I'm telling you, as a woman, some of them are so quick to say things like, women can't tell a man how to think. I agree 100%. I do. So you can't tell a woman how a woman's think. I'm telling you, pressure busts pipes. She didn't leave you for one incident. It has been months and months of you lying, or years of you constantly lying over and over, right? Actions that are not improving over and over. So it accumulates. So what happens is after each offense within the relationship, it takes something from her. So let's say she starts at 100%. She catches you in a lie. Now it's at 90% because I can't trust you. Right? Now I come to you and ask you about something I see or something I feel. You lie again and I know you're lying. That's another hit. Now I'm at 80%. Now I go through your phone, just saying for example, now I go through your phone and I literally see that you were at this chick house, but you claim you was at your boy house. Now I'm at 40%. I bring it to your attention and you shut me down because I'm only nagging. Now I'm at 30%. And so on and so on and so on and so on. So now when that last hit happens and she walked that same day, It is the accumulation of lies, deceit, frustration, etc., etc. So this is why a woman can walk so easily without residue. This is why a woman can walk easily. And not to say she won't have residue. I'm speaking about in comparison to a man. A woman will leave and have to go through a process of healing that may only take, and I'm just throwing numbers out here, I don't know, because each person is different. That process may only take 3 months because she's already grieved within the relationship. Most men aren't grieving in the relationship because we're doing everything, right? So you're pulling from us emotionally and mentally. But, let me be clear here. That's not to say we're perfect. I'm trying to make a point here, right? I'm sure there's stuff that they can complain about within the process, but they really don't. A lot of the times men don't think you're going to leave. So mentally, they're not even preparing themselves. See, the woman is already preparing herself because she knows she's getting turned off. She knows that there's something better. She knows that she deserves better. So mentally, even though that she's not 100% ready to leave yet, she knows she's going to leave. A woman will leave you first emotionally before she leaves you physically. So once she leaves you physically, she's already left you emotionally. But if you were really tapped into her and paid attention, you would have discovered that within the process. And then you would have tried everything in your power to try to make it right within the process, not after she walks. So now the same grieving that you're feeling after the fact is the same level of hurt and pain she felt throughout the process. But I can't understand why they can't get that concept. But I'm telling you, as a woman, that's what it is. We grieve within the situation. So yes, we probably do move on quicker. We might can find another man and trust if she heals correctly. Because if she doesn't go through a healing process, she's going to take that same toxic residue that those jealousy issues and insecurity issues to the next dude, and that's not proper. But if she heals correctly, she might be in another whole relationship in love 6 months later. Where a man, he next time he gonna love honey is when Jesus come home. And that's not all men, of course. Always, that's not all men. So, in reference to why not stay and take the same hits with the same person versus gambling with the next, who knows? It's a gamble. The next dude might be on his game. The next dude might recognize, wow, this one is different. This one is rare. So he may straighten up and leave everything else alone just because how rare she is, especially if he's only been exposed to a certain caliber of chicks, a bunch of mud ducks, bird brains. So he recognizes that this one is different. So it's a gamble. So you're right. You're right. But I would rather take that gamble. I would rather take the gamble and try the next, right? And that don't even mean that you're like you're sleeping with or you're dealing with. No, it's a whole process, right? Now I can get it if they're speaking about the woman just moving to 10 different dudes and she just that's a whole kind of different of a caliber of a woman and different process, if you will. But I would rather take the gamble knowing that there's potentially a man out here who's leveled up, who can see my value, see my worth, know that I'm rare, who's going to do the right thing because he's wise enough. He's mastered the art of discipline. Speaking of that, let me say something really quickly about cheating because I don't think it was you, bro. Actually, it was you. It was you in your email about it quote unquote, it just happened. Cheating just does not happen. Cheating does not just happen. You got to make that phone call. You got to drive there. Or you got that 20, 30 minutes, 45 minutes that she's en route to you. Right? You have to get out your car and knock on that door. Cheating just doesn't happen. It's a whole process. So when it comes to discipline, it doesn't mean that men or women don't have those urges. It's more or less about making sure you don't put yourself in that environment. Why would I go to somebody's house if I already know that I'm a person who struggles with impulses? Make it make sense. So nothing just happens. So we got to stop saying that. That's not how. Nothing just happens. Period. So I'm sorry to bust your bubbles right there. Nothing just happens, right? In regards to your question about, oh, what did you ask me? Oh, about how some women see cheating differently than others. Meaning, like, why would some women take you back, that's definitely a perspective thing versus why would some take you back, why some won't. Well, okay, for different perspectives. The one who, and this is why I always tell people in general, men and women, do your part in the relationship. Do your part. That way they can never put it on you. They can't say, well, you weren't tired every night, you weren't do this. No. Keep yourself up, ladies. Keep yourself up. Always be available. Stop every 5 minutes. I got the headache. I don't feel like it. I mean, I get it, right? I get it, right? I get it. But you got to also be sure that you're not, how can I say this? We try to keep it like, if you're leaving room for error, right? Then if somebody goes off and cheat, they can easily say, well, you weren't available to have sex for the last 2 months, right? You turning me down for the last 2 months. True. It's very true that you could easily leave rather than cheating. I get that point too. But if the person were to come back, that's something I got to look at on my end too. Like, yeah, you were wrong for cheating, period. But I mean, I wasn't even available. So I kind of like set you up to, right? Or if you're in a loveless marriage or a loveless relationship, meaning you've been with this man for 15 years, he no longer even tells you you're beautiful. Like he don't even touch you, right? He don't like he shuts you down emotionally, right? So it's I think it's easier for people to accept people back in, right? And this is not for everybody. It's easier for people to accept people back in when they know they were lacking on their part. But if I'm doing my part, and there's no need for you to cheat, that's a whole different perspective. Also, most people don't love themselves, regardless of what they say. People tell you all day long, I love myself, well, I respect myself, I'm the prize. If you love yourself, when someone dishonor you or disrespect you to the ultimate, because that's the ultimate, right? It doesn't get any worse than cheating. That's the ultimate. Why would you stay if you really love yourself and you know you were doing your part? So most times people don't love themselves. So then they allow that behavior to continue and continue and continue. And it is what it is. And granted, now, I mean, you got some people out here who love themselves and who consider themselves as being leveled up, and maybe they take them back and maybe they make it work again through extensive processes, if you will. But I'm speaking about ultimately, because that would be a process in itself. But to know somebody, man or woman, to know somebody cheated on you and this person right back in your bed a week later, how do you even, like, how can you even become intimate again knowing that this person literally touched somebody the exact way they touched you? Like, what? It couldn't even be the same because it's no longer special. It's tainted. It's watered down. So in your mind, you will always be thinking about a plan to leave because you don't even feel safe there. When a woman don't feel safe, she's going astray. And that stray doesn't mean cheating. That stray can be other men finding pleasure just in the company of another man, right? That can look like a coworker, that can look like a new guy, whatever. If a woman don't feel safe and she feels that she can't trust you, there is something in her spirit that will never settle. She will never feel content or at home. So I'm sorry, my brother. I hear you, but I cannot agree with you on the it, quote unquote, it just happened. Or even everything happens for a reason, which is true in life. Everything happens for a reason. But what we cannot do is put our lack of discipline and our lack of disloyalty and things like that, and try to tie that in with the fact that spiritually or with even with God's processes, everything happens for a reason. No, that's your stuff. That's your stuff. Because your lack of discipline, your stuff can actually screw up a whole process that God had for you ultimately. Self-sabotage is real. God can literally be trying to give us things, give us people, give us blessings, and we screw it up ourselves, our flesh. We screw it up and say, oh, everything happens for a reason. That was never God's reason. That was your thing. So you self-sabotage. You messed up the whole blessing that God had for you. You prayed for a wife. God gave you the wife. You cheated on her and say, oh, I cheated, so everything happens for a reason. Make it make sense. Sure. But my brother, if you want to, speak more on that or whatever, just hit your girl up in your email. Those of you who have not touched your topics, please bear with your girl. Please bear with your girl. You guys have a great one. It's your girl, Kizzy Rock.